Hello and welcome to my views on news. Firstly, let me check my equipment. Can you hear me properly? Thank you. Thank you for responding. Uzil Gunner is taking the lead. He is one of those viewers who is always first, second, or third to watch my videos. Thank you, Uzil. Nahom, Ababa, Gabrius, Kalib, Zimarium, Michael Asefa, Common Courtesy, Todd Borrow, Nahom, uh, Tadase, Gabriel Gizabir, Sam Muhammad, MIM, Miss Jamaican and Liberian, Winter Haptom, Tadase, uh, IS, Simron, Vigano, Todd Barrow, Estefano, Aaron, Simon, Taddy, Kiddos Sports News. I think I missed Peace because Peace is always one of the top viewers. Thank you for joining, viewers. It's a pleasure to talk to you in this live chat. Yasin has joined as well, my friend, long-time friend, and very reliable person. His information is always extremely reliable. Bitweed, Hassan Yusuf, Thomas Sisse, what I like about you people is that you can see that you would see here Tigrayans, Amharas from afar, Somalis, Eritreans, Oromos. That is what I like about my channel. That people from all ethnic backgrounds, all ethnic cities come here. And that is the purpose of making videos, that different ethnic groups, different nationalities, Eritreans, Ethiopians, Somalis, Sudanese, they should be at a platform to exchange their views in a responsible manner. Thank you for joining, all of you. Thank you. Thomas Sisse says, how do you see this war going on in coming months? First question. Parvini says, because you are a reliable source for this conflict. Thank you, Parvini. You people keep me reliable. Honestly, I make mistakes, but people keep on correcting me. What do you think of the fate of Tigrayans in future? What do you think about the end of this conflict? End of this conflict and what's going to happen in coming days? It depends a lot on these parties to the conflict. What do they want? If Ethiopian government has decided to keep on fighting, it means that the war will go on. It can never come to a close. If Tigray has already offered cessation of hostilities. Now, future of this war depends a lot on Ethiopian government because their response, official response, is still awaited. Are they going to resume talks with Tigray regional government, or do they want to continue armed escalation? So a lot depends upon Ethiopian government. Let me turn off the fan. The sound could be disturbing a bit. So we'll have to wait and see Ethiopian government's response, which will be clear, I think, in a few days, in just 2 to 3 days, 4 days, I think. Mihari is also in the live chat. He's joined and he has been saying that, Sajid, please do inform me in advance. So today he's made it. So it depends a lot on Ethiopian government. How far does it go into containing TPLF. Now, we must be clear, containment of TPLF is stated objective of Ethiopian government, Eritrean government. How do they want to achieve this objective? Through military means, through full-scale ground offensive, through drone strikes, or through talks? That remains to be seen. I personally think let's wait just 3 to 4 days. Things will be clear, I think, in the next 3 to 4 days. But someone asked about EDRK. I did a video on EDRK just a few minutes ago, I think an hour ago. Tigray forces have made it back to EDRK. They lost EDRK around 6 days ago. And you saw that loss of EDRK had serious impact on TDF positions on Tigray-Amhara border. Even TDF came close to losing Mesabre, because EDRK is very strategic. After losing EDRK, ENDF rapidly marched into Tigray. So now TDF has regained its ground. It is consolidating its control of EDRK. What after EDRK? What next? And can TDF remain in control of EDRK? That remains to be seen. But now what we have confirmed is that TDF is in EDRK reportedly. Hiroe says, brother, talk about OLA. OLA. I was expecting that after ENDF withdrawal from Oromia, we will see rapid advance from OLA into different zones of Oromia. OLA has captured some territories in Oromia, but still that rapid advance is missing. Is it due to some sort of deal between OLA and Ethiopian federal government, OLA and Oromia regional government, or Oromia special forces are keeping OLA in check? That's a question. The answer I leave to you. But OLA is not rapidly advancing into Oromia, which OLA could have, I think. It still can have this rapid advance because ENDF has been almost completely removed from Oromia. No one to stop OLA there, and Oromia Special Force could be deployed from Oromia to Amhara in coming days. So it was an opportunity for OLA to put pressure upon Oromia regional government. So either OLA is not in a position to rapidly advance in Oromia into Amhara, or OLA is making preparations, doing some recruitments, which we saw some new recruits today, and it is waiting for the right time. Maybe it's waiting for Tigray forces to go past or reach Dasi, Kambolcha, and if TDF decides to go deep into Amhara, then OLA might start moving from Oromia towards Amhara. It could happen. But so far, it seems OLA is in preparation mode. How long will it take to be fully prepared to move towards Addis Ababa or towards Amhara? That we'll have to wait to see. Acorn City says, game over, Voodoo TPLF. Game is not over. Neither for TDF nor for ENDF. This war cannot come to a close in a few days. If by a close we mean complete defeat of one of the two parties, it will not come to a close, I think. You can remove TPLF from Mekele, from Aksum, from Shire, but TPLF will keep on fighting. In mountains, guerrilla style fighting will go on. No one is leaving Tigray. No general, no TPL leader is leaving Tigray. They are there. They'll fight. I confirmed 2 drone strikes on Getachew Reda's house. And Getachew is still in Tigray. I can confirm Getachew Reda is in Tigray. After 2 drone strikes on his house, he narrowly missed. I know where he was when that drone strike was carried out. But I won't be disclosing any information. So he narrowly missed this assassination attempt. He survived. He's still there. So all TPLF leadership, all TDF channels are in Tigray. They'll fight. They'll not surrender. And Eritrean government will not back out as well. If you remember, in in June last year, when Ethiopian federal government decided to withdraw from Tigray, back then, Eritrean military, Eritrean government did not want to withdraw from Tigray. They wanted to crush TPLF, but federal government of Ethiopia decided to withdraw from Tigray. So this time again, Eritrean Defense Force is fully convinced that TPLF must be wiped out. TPLF wants to fight. Ethiopian government is the deciding factor. What will this government do? Will it stand with Eritrean Defense Force and keep on hitting TPLF? Or will it give in to international pressure and start talks with Tigray? That remains to be seen. What about Voldia? I think we discussed in detail about Voldia. To the right, to the east and north of Voldia, key places are under TDF control. And despite several offensives, ENDF could not remove TDF from Gobiye, from Koborobit, from places to the west of Koborobit, to the west of Gobiye as well. So TDF is still there in good position. It can move towards Voldia in coming days. Why does TDF seem to lose ground whenever EDF is involved? Yes, TDF struggles where EDF is involved, obviously, because two forces join, both ENDF and EDF join. So a regional force is fighting two countries' armies. Obviously, it will be difficult for Tigray forces to counter both forces. And secondly, border areas, Tigray, Eritrea, border areas are not new for Tigrayans or for Eritreans. And they know each other how to fight, I think. They know the style of fighting of each other. They fought in alliance for years when they were fighting against Ethiopian government. So they know very well each other's tactics. That is why maybe TDF struggles. But now let's see, will TDF struggle now when Shiraro has been taken by Eritreans, Eritrean Defense Force? Can EDF keep on advancing rapidly into Tigray like we saw last year, not last year, in November 2020? Back then, EDF, ENDF captured Mekelle in just 25 days. And now you see that around 27 days have passed, and so far, just one small town taken by EDF and ENDF, and that is Shiraro. And the RK was taken, but it is back under TDF reportedly. But this time, EDF, ENDF are facing extremely stiff resistance. Shiraro is under TDF, someone is saying, I don't know, I will share it with you once I have some reliable information. I have no such information that TDF is back in control of Shiraro. How do you think this war will end without agreement on Western Tigray? Yes, common courtesy is important question. This war cannot come to an end without a decision about Western Tigray. I have been saying for the last 2 years, core issue is Western Tigray. Core issue is Sumera Volkaya Segede. If this issue is unresolved, no matter what you do, there won't be lasting peace in Ethiopia. So Amhara, Tigray, Ethiopian government will have to find a solution. Can they do it at the table, or will they try to find it in the battlefield? That we are going to see. What interested you into reporting about Ethiopia Tigray in the first place? Watch my channel, you'll see how much I have reported on international conflict, starting from Afghanistan, then Libya war, Turkey, Syria war, Turkey, Greece conflict, then Azerbaijan, Armenia conflict, And then this Tigray, Ethiopia war, and now I'm covering Russia-Ukraine conflict, Azerbaijan, Armenia ongoing conflict, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan conflict. So I do conflict reporting. That is what I do. From different areas of the world, I cover conflicts. Will Tigrayans allow TPLF to stay in power after the war? Well, if TPLF manages to defend Tigray, TPLF will be in a stronger position to be the sole force in Tigray. How did TDF manage to advance despite drones? I think we discussed in yesterday's video about TDF's capabilities and drone use. And TDF's advances are not a lot so far. They have only managed to reach Voldia. Overall, they are defending. On almost all fronts, they are defending. On just one front, they have advanced, and that is Volo. You see that on the RK front, they lost, they regained. Basically, they're defending. On northern front, defending. Then on Daredevil front, they defended. So basically, they are defending. They are not advancing a lot. They advanced only on one front, and that is Vollo. How did they manage to advance despite drone use? They have suffered a lot. Drone strikes which are causing losses are not reported. But we know that these drone strikes are hurting Tigray forces in Mekelle as well. You cannot say that TDF has neutralized drone threat. No, drones are still a threat. I still think one of the major deciding factors is drones. Can Ethiopian government continue? Can it sustain use of drones against Tigray forces? That is also a question. So don't rule out the fact that we cannot say that drones are out of the equation. No, drones are still part of the equation, and this war is just starting. It's a long way to go. You'll keep on seeing this seesaw, this up and down on different fronts. So don't jump to conclusions. One party could be losing on one front, gaining on the other. It's a long war if there is no solution to this conflict. Maybe one party might realize that peace is a better option. Mabtech says, what do you say about Tigray genocide? I never use the word genocide. And Tigrayans criticized me for that. They say, Sajid, you deny genocide of Tigrayans. I always said, in the past as well, that I am of this view that human rights abuses have been committed in Tigray. I agree. Abuses committed in Amhara, Afar regions as well. All forces were involved in human rights abuses. Tigray fighters were involved too. So it's not that just Tigrayans have suffered. All Ethiopians have suffered. Amharas suffered, Afars suffered, and Tigrayans suffered. Yes, Tigrayans have suffered a lot more than others because Tigrayans were facing shortage of food as well. Still, they're dying of hunger too. Amhara region is accessible, Afar accessible. Tigray was not accessible. So Tigrayans have suffered a lot, but we cannot say that it was a genocide of Tigrayans. Genocide is something different. If Tigrayans are dying in airstrikes, what about TDF's offensive on Kobo, Robit, Gobiye? Can you say that no civilian died in this offensive? No. If you see the reporting of other side, they say dozens have died in Kobo, Robit, other places, civilians. So civilians are dying on both sides. So we can Amhara say Amhara genocide. You see that they are taking out rallies across the world. They have launched a campaign, Amhara genocide campaign. Tigrayans say the same. So you will keep on seeing these slogans. Basically, all are suffering. But Tigrayans are suffering more because they have limited access to food. So they're dying of hunger too. Someone asked about MAML. Yes, we know that mainly Turkish TB2 drones are in use now. I have shared satellite images from two airports, Samra, Afar, Bahirdar, Amhara. There, TB2 drones were captured. They were found stationed there. So mainly TB2 drones are being used, and TB2s use MAML munitions, specific munitions manufactured by Turkish company owned by son-in-law of Erdogan, Turkish president. Does Ethiopian government have unlimited supply of MML munitions? Of course, it will need more MML supplies from Turkey if this war goes on. And will Turkey keep on providing these munitions to Ethiopian government? That also remains to be seen, because we know the Tigrayans are protesting in front of Turkish embassies, in front of UAE embassies, and they say that Turkey and UAE should stop supporting Ethiopian government. So let's see, will the government keep on receiving supplies from Turkey? That is also an important question. Haile has commented around 20 times, game over, game over. Why are you commenting the same thing again and again? Let other people ask questions too. You can ask questions, but if you start flooding the chat, it wouldn't serve any purpose. What do you think about stand of US in this war? Yes, important question. Their official stand is that they want an end to this war. Ethiopian government is suspicious. Ethiopian government is of this opinion that US government is backing TPLF. That Mike Hammer visited Tigray. He took a selfie there with the Debrecen, and they just showed the green light to Tigray. After he returned from Tigray, Tigray forces launched an offensive on Wollo. So Ethiopian government is not trusting the US. What does US want in this region? US does not want Ethiopian government to be part of Russian and Chinese camps. US wants to have its influence in Ethiopia. It wants to be a player in Ethiopia. US has already lost Eritrea. And US does not want to lose another country in the Horn of Africa. So that is why US is involved here. US wants to be a player here. And we know that last year, Ethiopia-US relations were very tense. Ethiopian diaspora launched No More campaign, which was basically against the US government, against US government's intervention in Ethiopia. US is trying to mend its ties, and US is exploiting a weakness of Ethiopian government. And that weakness is economic problems of Ethiopia. Ethiopian government, Ethiopian economy is suffering. We know that their loans are not being rescheduled, new loans are not being issued, grants have been suspended, AGWA suspended. So at this crucial time, Ethiopian government needs some sort of financial assistance from IMF, from World Bank, from EU, from US. Otherwise, economy will crumble. People will suffer more. You'll see more inflation, more price rise. That is why government's weakness is being exploited by US government, you can say to some extent. And it was Mike Hammer's efforts, US efforts, which led to start of talks in Djibouti between Tigray and Ethiopian government representatives, though the talks failed. So US still is a player in this conflict, which can play a role. US and EU, I think, are two main players. What is the real reason behind deployment of ENDF to Eritrea? I think we discussed that in some previous videos. Firstly, Eritrea is taking the position that it is not part of this war, that damn it, and Ethiopian forces are involved. That is why ENDF is there in Eritrea. ENDF starts offensives. EDF is at the back. It is a way of covering Eritrean involvement in the war. Secondly, obviously, Eritreans want to be safe. They want to use ENDF military equipment. They want to use ENDF manpower. If there is no ENDF in Eritrea, EDF will have to deploy all its military assets on all fronts. Eritrea wants to keep its military assets safe. It wants to use ENDF's military assets, ENDF's manpower, its channels there, its forces there, but its resources deployed are limited. Projected fatalities, no one can project, no one is in a position to project how many have been killed, but not as many as is being claimed by Getachew Reda and Varede. Their claims are very tall, that hundreds of thousands have been killed. I don't believe. But in war reporting, it happens. We are seeing the same in Russia-Ukraine conflict. On daily basis, both Russia and Ukraine make tall claims. We report only those things which are believable, which are not exaggerated. Same is happening here. You'll keep on seeing the same. Getachew, Varede, and people from Ethiopian government, they'll keep on making tall claims. But actually, it showed the intensity of this war. It's not just a few hundred troops fighting, a few hundred troops. No. Thousands are deployed on different fronts and thousands are dying too. If people have access to some social media platforms, you would be seeing the videos, graphic videos showing hundreds of dead bodies. Of course, I cannot show the videos on this channel, but I know that people from all sides are losing their lives in this war, which I say is a meaningless war. Ultimately, they'll sit at the table. You see, one day they'll have to sit at the table and resolve the conflict. Why are drones not effective? They are effective. Don't say that they're not effective. It's the start of the war. Had there been no drones in this third phase, by now TDF would have been somewhere close to Daisy, I think. So if they are restricted to Kobo orbit, it's mainly due to these drone strikes. And mainly due to offensive from northern side, from Eritrea. Drones are still a deciding factor. Jabir is asking, who has the responsibility to feed POWs? Of course, Tigray and aid agencies. This channel is just about TDF and ENDF. I just asked why there is no report about OLA. I spoke about OLA just a few minutes ago. We love you, Sajid. A is saying, I love you too. By the way, I don't know if people love me or not, but all day I keep on reading comments which are sometimes extremely disturbing. People start name calling, they start hurling insults at me, on Twitter as well. Here too, somehow I try to restrain myself. I don't respond. I don't know what people are going through. So that is why I don't respond. But you can challenge my views. You can question my information. I will make corrections. I don't know why people start hate speech. They start name calling, verbal abuse in comment section. It disturbs me a lot, but somehow I try to go on. inflation drop, someone is saying there is no considerable drop in inflation. For the last few months, I think it is at the same level. But mainly, if you see the exchange rate, dollar to birr exchange rate, you would see that in black market, it is trading at around 90 birrs equal to 1 US dollar. But official exchange rate is around 50 plus, I think. So it means that in reality, birr is losing its value because Ethiopian government is not receiving any financial aid. So when there is no money, it means that the currency will suffer. If there is no money, if your treasury is empty, it means that the currency will suffer. It will be depleted. And that is what we are seeing. Someone say block them. No, I don't want to block them. People come here. They are sometimes extremely angry, but they cannot live without the channel, I think. No matter what they say, but they watch my videos. So it means that inside they know that the information here is not biased, it's subjective. But sometimes overwhelmed by their loyalties, by their support for one or the other party, they write hateful comments, which I ignore sometimes. Most of the time, by the way. Second, Kashmir. Kashmir cannot be compared. Kashmir is something else. It's a dispute between two countries. Tigray is another issue. It's a different conflict. Haley is again saying the same thing. You are a liar. Game over. Try to analyze the situation. Question those who you support. Don't be blind follower of Tigray government's position or Ethiopian federal government's position. Question them. They are the people who are reaping the benefits of being in power. They are making decisions. They are responsible as well. People in power, they are responsible as well. Ask questions. Hold them accountable. Don't blindly follow whatever is being shared by them. You're not slaves. They are answerable to you. You're not answerable to them. And you're not bound to defend them. You have a right to question them. People of Ethiopia are paying taxes to Ethiopian federal government. You have a question to ask. That is there no way to avoid this war? Same is the way with Tigrayans who are fighting. You can ask the question as well about TPLF leadership. That can't you avoid this war? Where is the money? From where is the money coming? You have right to ask these questions. If someone is asking these questions, he's not a traitor. Asking a question does not mean that you are a traitor. So, yes, question asking is discouraged in underdeveloped countries, in developing countries, and those who ask questions are labeled as traitors. But they are not traitors. They are the people who want to know the truth. So try to seek the truth. Sue says, why do you keep on ignoring my question? What is your question? So many questions are being asked, and then people are commenting as well, so it's difficult to read all the questions. How many soldiers do you guess TDF have? I have no such information about real numbers on both sides. Uh, Now I think entire Tigray is fighting. Just you can leave children, elderly, and some women. All who are of fighting age are fighting. Conscription happened in Tigray. We know. I confirmed from the ground to. So Tigray has deployed almost all Tigrayans. It would be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Why Vollo easy, Volkayet hard? Ah, yes. Important question. Why Vollo easy, Volkayet hard? Different reasons. Terrain is one of the reason. Vollo terrain, Tigray terrain is almost the same, I think. Known territory, Tigray captured Vollo last year as well, so they know how to advance here. No Eritreans involved here in Vollo, but they're involved in Volkayet too. And deployments as well. In Volkayet, there is a large number of forces deployed there. Amhara forces, Amhara militias, ENDF, federal forces, Eritrean. So deployments are huge in Volkayet. And these are two main reasons, I think. And thirdly, Volkayet is extremely vulnerable to drone strikes as well because the terrain is flat. It's difficult to move ahead and to protect from airstrikes. In Vollo, you can somehow defend yourself. Is Gatachore the Amhara? I don't know. Last year I did a video on that. People said, Sajid, you know nothing about his ethnicity. Don't just make any claims. So I don't know about his ethnicity. Il Marathon Continua says, hi Sajid, hi. Bella Cho has joined too. Presidential successor to President Isaias. No one knows. Isaias is the only one so far in charge in Eritrea. Is he preparing anyone to be his successor? I don't know. By the way, I could not find any names from Eritrea as likely successors. Do you think, important question by Senian said, do you think Abiy can unify the country in this war? Yes, this is a very important question. Can there be unity now in the country like we saw last year? By the way, this year Tigray has changed its strategy as well. Last year Tigray leaders, TPLF leaders were extremely critical of Araya. Misa says, hi son, or his son. His son, okay. Isaias Averki's son. So last year, they were critical of Amhara people, Afars as well. But now Tigray has changed this strategy. Tigray leadership is not speaking a word against Amhara people, Amhara region, Eritreans, Afars too. And they have released some Fano fighters. So they do not want to create a sort of a Tigray Amhara animosity, Tigray Afar animosity. So they have changed the strategy. It is having its impact. Yes, it is becoming difficult for Ethiopian government to create unity for this war. It's partly due to this Tigrayan strategy and partly due to some internal issues like crackdown on Fano, launched 4 months ago by Ethiopian federal government. So far, Fano fighters not released. Regional forces not involved as well so far. So maybe in coming days, if regional forces are involved, we could see unity. But so far, we're not seeing as much unity as we saw last year. Why is the Eritrean army too strong for TDF to overcome? You cannot say too strong. As I said earlier, both EDF and ENDF join on some fronts. So obviously it becomes difficult for TDF. Two armies of two countries fight against a regional army. Yours, 41 minutes have passed. I think we should now end this live chat session. Several questions I tried to answer, several I could not because so many questions being asked. Thank you for joining. You can share questions and information with me at my email as well, sajid672000@gmail.com. If you're interested in following other global conflicts, you can watch the other YouTube channel which I started a few days ago, Conflict News 24. I share link to the videos of the channel in comment section on daily basis, in community section as well on daily basis. Thank you for joining. Please keep on sharing information, whatever you have, because it's a joint effort what we are doing in terms of keeping this conflict covered in an impartial manner. It's a joint effort. People support me in terms of sharing information with me. And people from all sides, Amharas, Oromos, Tigrayans, Eritreans, Afars, Somalis, all stay in touch with me. And that is how we understand this conflict. So I would request once again, please stay in touch with me through my email, correct my mistakes, share information which is important, which we are missing, so that we can keep this coverage extensive, neutral, and unbiased. Thank you for joining. See you in the next live chat session. Thank you. Bye-bye.